It's train time, starting now, right after this small intro.
In compliance with COPA, this video is not for children under the age of 14. Viewer discretion is advised. Sponsored by Canadian Model Railroad.ca and by donations from patrons like you. Further support provided by miniprint.ca. Make your layout come alive with the 3D creation of miniprint.ca. And now on with the show with your hosts, Peter and Joe.
Well, what time is it?
It's train time, episode 17.
Episode 17, yes.
And we got a great show this month. We're starting with the life of a photographer.
Yes.
Which is Lorraine A. Scrafford.
Lauren Scrafford, yes. He's given us a lot of submissions.
Yes, on the Canadian Model Railroad Facebook. Then we keep going with the photo of the month as usual.
Photo of the month, yes.
The view from above. And we'll come in this time with a notice from AVR, which is Assiniboine Valley Railroad.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's like in Winnipeg, we're losing hobby shop one by one. We're down to one, I think. Yeah. And also we're losing attractions like the AVR and the Assiniboine Park, I think, hits on his last wheel too.
Oh, yeah, I don't know what's happening there with COVID and everything else.
Yeah, well, COVID have been very hard on hobby shop and some business, and most of the people now are going online, you know, to buy. So it's pretty bad, and. We'll be also having 3 little videos that would be rolling on B-rolls as we talk about the AVR. And a part of the railroad modeling that very seldom people talk about in shows is the 7.5 gauge. And those videos are from Dave Johnson, Chuck Hackett's, and Donald Youngling. So... and then we'll finish with the campaign in regard to Transcona Museum to put the roof on the locomotive, the first locomotive, steam locomotive that's being built in Manitoba on the CN shop at Singleton, I believe.
Yes, at Transcona Shops.
Transcona Shop, the 2747.
2747.
So, without...
And we have our new attire.
Yeah, that's right.
And we are also ready to go on site with our vests. I just hold that up so when we're out on the road, people know who we are.
That's right. And at the same time, well, we promote safety with the railroad.
That's right.
So that's a great thing to do.
So we're all ready for COVID to end.
That's right. And now they cannot say when we go and do some shooting that they don't know that it was a crew that was shooting videos and come in right in the front of the camera when we got the best scene, you know?
That's right. Yeah.
Because a lot of the time we cannot do 2 or 3 takes. It's one take save all.
Yes.
So
anybody that's done filming of live trains, it's one shot and
yes, it is. You cannot miss.
Yeah.
So without any further ado, guys, on this segment we will be featuring a fellow model railroader and photographer. Let us introduce to you Lauren A. Scrafford.
Yes, Lauren tells us that he began modeling with Marks, and over the years he switched to American Flyers, S-scale, and today still models, but in HO scale. But what he really wished to feature today is another dimension of Lauren's passion and interest in trains and railroads.
Well, Lorraine is very well known for capturing vivid train scene with his camera for over 50 years now. Lorraine has been developing his skills from the black and white to colors in 35 millimeters, slides, and now with the digital version. His photos are exceptional in quality, Peter, and his shot setting are very, very great. So we are very, very proud, Peter, to share some of his work with the viewers of It's Train Time.
Yes, and Lauren tells us that as a younger man, he didn't have a lot of extra time in his life to pursue photography. Although he shot some films in the 70s and 80s, he began to pursue photography in the 90s.
Well, he said that while living in New Mexico, he began documenting the Atchison, Topeka, Santa Fe, the ATSF, and SP, the Southern Pacific Rail Line, on slide and on black and white film. So, can you imagine the learning curve he has gone through over the years? He has experienced many change in photography over the years, and in 2013, he finally decided to go digital.
And where does Lauren and his camera travel to capture all these wonderful shots that he sends us?
Well, Lorraine's tell us that his favorite subject is short lines, right? But he also go to Canada and shoot the main #1 trains like CN and CP. But you can find short line, of course, all over the continent.
And most of the pictures that we have on this segment have been shot in Canada by Lauren.
Yeah, they have. Lauren's grandfather was born in British Columbia, and he still has some close family living there. So every year he has the chance to come to Canada, and then he does a lot of photography at the same time. So that gave him the opportunity to shoot many amazing CN and CP action as well. But I guess with COVID-19 and that virus, that kind of put a kibosh on his traveling to Canada last year's and this year's. But we are fortunate, Peter, that he is sharing this wonderful library of pictures with us.
I wonder what inspired Lauren, kind of what fueled his passion and his interest in trains and railroads.
Well, you know, Peter, a lot of people have been inspired with trains by a Christmas gift at Christmas, you know, that they got a train and that type of thing. But for Lawrence, that's different. His true inspiration and his biggest inspiration was his father. His dad was a blacksmith by profession, and he was repairing and rebuilding rail cars for Bunker Hill and Sullivan Mining Company. And aside from that, Lauren's father was a huge rail fanner. So that can kind of inspire Lauren.
And that reminds me that Lauren had told us that he was proudly one of 5 generations of family that actually worked at Bunker Hill.
Oh, that's right. And Lorraine was born in Kellogg, Idaho. And as a young adult, he worked his way through college working at Bunker Hill like the rest of his family did, right? So his main job was to unload ore concentrate, you know, from open hoppers and bay hoppers.
So he was transferring from the mine's narrow gauge to standard gauge in his work.
Well, yes, I believe so.
You know, and with working with rail cars in his youth and seeing his family making a living in the field of trains and railroads, he really has the background and history to promote his photography.
Oh, absolutely, because he's got a variety right under his his thumb or right under his eyes.
Yep.
The lens of his camera has a variety of shot all over the place, so he can be very versatile in his photography, and he can very much so select the shot that he really want to promote. So we thank you, Lauren,
Yes,
for sharing this facet of your life with us and our viewers.
yes. You send us marvelous photos, and keep your camera ready. And thanks again. Wonderful photos.
Well, Peter, our viewer can see pictures made by Lauren about any time of the year. If they go into our Canadian Model Railroad Facebook group, Lauren Scrafford's do post in there on a regular basis some marvelous pictures for you to enjoy, viewers. So thank you, Lorraine, again, to have let us feature you on this show of It's Train Time.
Yes, thank you, and keep the camera going.
Ever wanted to take a nostalgic trip back to the steam era? Through the Window of a Train is the book for you. Or go back into history with the Memory of the Moonlight specials. Through the Window of a Train for $19.95, or Memory of the Moonlight specials for $21.95, or 4 limited time offers. You can get both books signed for only $39.95 plus shipping. Order now.
And now, folks, there's the photo of the month.
Enjoy. Well, again, another good segment.
Yep. good photo.
Yes.
Like I mentioned on a post on our group and the Facebook, we got enough picture right now, right up to the end of 2022. But we still accumulate them.
Yes.
Send them.
Keep sending them.
What we did like to see the people do is to send some video of their layouts and that type of thing, so we can feature them.
Yeah.
And that way, it will bring some variety in the show, because the show is not just for us, Peter.
Nope.
It's for a viewer too.
For all those modelers out there.
Yep. And right now, there's the view from above.
Sit back and enjoy.
This view from above never disappoint.
Another one. Yes, very good. Very good, yeah.
You know, in April of 23rd, 2021, we had a public service announcement that came in about the Assiniboine Valley Railway.
Yes.
That is at 3001 Roblin Boulevard in
Yes.
Winnipeg.
7.5 inch gauge.
1/8, they said, scale railway.
Yeah.
That's just west of the Assiniboine Park. Unfortunately, they have to find another locations, and they have six months to vacate where they are right now.
And that's as of April.
Yes. So, if anybody has any idea where they can relocate around Winnipeg's, you know, that would be a good thing, because the AVR, which was a railway that had been started by Bill Taylor, I believe, who passed away in 2013, has give a lot of enjoyment to a lot of people, even during Christmas time, Halloween's.
Yeah, they'd have Christmas trains, and you know, families and kids have been going there. I'm sure some of them are repeat, you know, visitors.
They even had dinner on a train with the hamburgers and so on, right? Which is unusual for that scale of train, but they have been successful.
It just shows you can do anything, right?
That's right. So, Len LaRue is the president of AVR, has sent that notice. You can reach him at 204-832-3448, or you can join him sending him an email at HELLARUE@mymts.net. So we sure hope that they will find another locations, and that they will keep doing the good work that they have done for many years.
Yeah, it's he would even bring his little stretch of track and give kids ride at some of the shows when they used to be at Mennonite Brethren.
Wow.
You know, he just had a section of straight track, and he would give kids rides back and forth. And
well, sometimes that's only what it takes to entertain, you know. And they have been creatives, you know. They have kind of do the thinking out of the box, which is great. The other one that we don't know what's going on with is the one at the Assiniboine Park.
Assiniboine Park,
we don't know if that will keep on going. It's been very difficult for them, and they had some difficulties.
I know in the past they talked about it being sold, and it kept running, but that's a few years back. And now with COVID, dealing with this pandemic, I mean, I don't think it's even running. I know the zoo has been open on and off with restrictions being lifted and then put back in place. So
like they say, and sorry for the language, but that's a crapshoot right now.
Yeah.
But talking about the scale of train, you know, model railroading, people, Peter, thinks it's HO, N scale, S scale, O scale. A lot of them don't realize that the 7.5 gauge or the 1/8 gauge, you know, scale, the train that you sit on and you ride, are something that is quite popular, matter of fact.
Yeah, I was even watching a British video on 5-inch gauge.
Well, that's
and that was wide. And that was a private layout as well. So, there's all kinds of modeling. Like my brother is in the 7.5 inch with his
friend's
911 steam locomotive, and his friend Rick Moses. They've got a big trackage. He has a small circular layout around his house in St. Albert, but out at Rick's there's an acreage, and they've got a big layout out there. And then they're also members of Iron Horse at Airdrie.
Yeah, which is a nice place.
Yeah, which is.
But the locomotive that your brother has is one that he built.
Oh yeah, he built, and that's why he numbered it 911, because he claims it took him 9 years to build and 11 years to get operational. So
Well, there you go. You got the right number.
Yeah.
So those trains is many club across Canada, and is many clubs down in the States.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a lot of those members on those clubs have built their own locomotives. A lot of them is steam, but you see some diesel locomotives in there.
Oh, yeah.
Very well done.
Well, AVR had a really nice, I think it was a GP9 in the old CN colors. So, yeah, guys are running anything from little switchers to steam road locomotives to diesel locomotives, any variety of.
But when you're thinking about that scale, the budget for that is a little bit more than a scale train HO locomotive and the rivet counters. They are expensive to build, expensive to run, you know. So yeah, it make the hobby a little.
And you can't have a layout in your basement.
No, you can't. But during the winter, I guess some of them spend time in the shop to build cars and all sort of thing and maintain.
Some of the guys that my brother is with, I mean, they machining and shop building and all that is just phenomenal. What their shops are like to work on their locomotives. It's
Well, so folks, that's what's happening with EVR, and a little overview as far as that scales of trains is concerned that we're covering this month on the show. Well, Peter, maybe you can tell me something about the 2747 of the Transcona Museum.
Well, it actually started with a newspaper article that you had given me to look into. And so I contacted Alana, the Transcona Museum, and what I found out is that the 2747, it's a 280 steam locomotive. It was built it was the first one built in Western Canada at CN shops in Transcona.
Oh yeah. And
what they're doing is they're raising money to build a shelter around the locomotive. It has been restored, but it still needs more restoration work because it's been sitting out in the weather. So, and right now there's a fence around it, and you can't even get close to it. We have some pictures.
Yeah. Matter of fact, they'll probably be rolling now.
Yeah. And anyways, the museum needs $493,000 to build this permanent home, and it's at the Rotary Heritage Park just off Plessis Road in Transcona. And so this locomotive, being the first one built in Western Canada, is very important. It actually took 27 days to build, and it rolled off the line April 19th, 1926.
Wow.
So the fundraiser campaign was launched April 19th, 2021. And that is the 95th anniversary of the locomotive. So this shelter would protect the preserved locomotive from weather, like I said. And what their plan is to make it so that there's walkways and stuff so it's more accessible to the public. They can be able to go up and look in the cab and all that kind of stuff instead of just being on the ground.
They can really get close to our heritage.
Absolutely. And so kind of a little bit of a history on this locomotive. 2747, it was operational from 1926 to 1960.
Yeah.
It was mainly a freight hauler and began operations in Alberta in 1926. In 1955, it pulled troop trains from Woboden to Churchill, Manitoba.
Always under the CN banner?
That was always under CN. but they were, at that time, they were taking troops up to the new DEW line operation
in the north, yeah.
that came about with the Cold War. And,
Yeah.
And so in 1960, it was retired after 34 years service, and an agreement between the Kinsman Club and CN brought the locomotive back to Transcona. So in May of 1960, it was placed on permanent display in the Kiwanis Park, which is now the Rotary Park, on just off Plessis Road. And then in March 1981, ownership of the locomotive, 2747, was transferred from Kiwanis Club to the Midwestern Rail Association.
Okay.
And then in December of 2015, Transcona Historical Museum acquires ownership of the locomotive from Midwestern Rail Association for $1. So that's how it came into being with the museum.
It went through a few hands.
It's been handled, yes, but at least it's preserved to a degree. So now in 2017, GP Heritage, it's a company that did a report on restoration recommendations for the locomotive and what preservation needs
For the locomotive.
for keeping it out of the weather type of thing. So that was done, as I said, in 2017. And now from 2018 to 2020, volunteers have done restoration work on the locomotive, and some funding was provided by the Winnipeg Foundation and provincial grants.
Okay.
So that's kind of where they are now. And because it's sitting out in the weather, all that restoration work is slowly deteriorating, right? So now they want to do this fundraiser and raise enough funds to build a shelter for it, and then also, like I said, ramps and things so it's more accessible. And this is all through the Transcona Museum, and it's located in Transcona at 141 Regent Avenue West. So any information on this fundraiser, you can go to info at transconamuseum.mb.ca, and also to www.transconamuseum.mb.ca/get on board, which is the actual fundraiser site. So we've been talking to Alana, who is the curator, and so I would like to certainly thank her and Jennifer, who is her assistant, for their work at the Transcona Museum. And hopefully when we get out of this COVID, we can actually go on site and do a feature on the museum and eventually an on-site on the locomotive.
Well, matter of fact, they sent a video that right now we're trying to get into our system, which we have not been successful, but more than likely next month, more than likely we'll have that video about the Transcona. All the information and the links and so on will be in the description below, where, right below that's where you put your comments, and we'll see what we can do and promote that, because I think it's a very, very good cause.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, you can go to the get on board site and make a donation of any kind, and they're looking for any amounts. It doesn't have to be. Their goal is this $493,000, what they need, but
Yeah, and I think they try to have it done so that it's open in 2023, something
something like that. Yeah. And a portion of that 493 is for restoration of the locomotive.
Yes, and the upkeep.
And most of it is for the shelter, the building. Yeah.
Yeah, well, you don't have that many locomotive like that with an history like that is pretty near 100 years old, that are on display that the people can go and enjoy. Yeah. You have one like that, similar, but I don't think as old as that, in the museum in Delson in Quebec. Yeah. You know, it's inside. So it's well preserved, but I don't think it's 95 years old.
And there was a number of these locomotives after this one built in Transcona that went into operation. This one happens to be the first one. So.
Matter of fact, on the video in question that we can see, but we cannot put on our system, they show the inside of the shop when that being built.
Yeah.
You know? And that would be an interesting video for you viewers, especially the one who love steam locomotives. So, folks, I guess
check it out, and if you can, support them.
Yep. You know, we definitely would promote them. There's no doubt about it. And by the way, in passing, don't forget these two good books here
by Barbara.
By Barbara Lang.
Yep.
You know, you can get them via our webpage at www.canadianmodelrailroad.ca in our store. And also in the comment, let us know if you did like to see mugs of its train time. Because pretty soon we'll have a couple mugs to show you.
We're working on that.
And we're working on that. And if you like that, then leave us some comments. You know, you might win one. Or you will be able also to buy them.
Yes.
Via our store on the webpage.
And send us videos of your home layouts. Give us an update on what you're doing.
Until then, we'll see you in episode 18 for June. Enjoy. Have a good modeling time.
Happy modeling.